Hello and welcome back to NJCDC's The Loft. Today, we welcome full-service community schools. We have a few people around the table. Can we all introduce ourselves?
Emily, would you like to go first?
Well, thanks for name dropping me. Okay.
There yeah.
I'm Emely Rodriguez.
I know that
I'm
now.
the full-service community school coordinator at School 2.
Okay.
I'm Adam. I was on a previous episode here. Adam Jawiech. I'm the coordinator at International High School.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everybody. I'm Angely. I'm the coordinator at School 4, Dr. Frank Napier. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here today. I just wanted to get you in here to talk about your respective programs. Adam, I know we kind of touched upon your program already, but now I want to see a few different perspectives, see if you have any new insights for us. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is, can you just give us a short little overview of what your program entails? Like, you know, what are the key services you offer?
So we generally have like the same concept of what the program looks like. We do family engagement, student activities, parent workshops, adult education, social services. We have the health center and all those things. But I think it's just applied differently. Like I'm a K-8 school, and I also have the biggest autistic population in Paterson and out of all of those schools.
So I work at School 4, Dr. Frank Napier. Our school is 1st through 8th grade.
Okay.
As Emily stated, full service in most schools, the general gist is to provide wraparound services to all of our community members in the school, right? So that's our students, that's our parents, our family members. They don't even have to go to the school. They can just be community members outside in the surrounding community. At the end of the day, full service is a community hub for the school, but it's open to everyone in that area. And in my school, we focus a lot on our first graders because I facilitate the first grade mentor program there. So we work a lot with the first graders to make sure that they're academically ready to excel to the other grades. And we also work a lot with our students, our newcomers, our students that come from different countries. They get set to be at School 4 because we have the program there where they're, they navigate the school district. They're learning English. They're receiving classes in the both languages. So those are the populations that we target specifically. I mean, we work with all students, but that's what makes our school a little different.
Okay. Okay. Adam, is there anything you want to touch upon?
Yeah. So, of course, we run the same 3 programs, or the same one program here, full service community schools. But I also have 2 more at my school, OTARI, which is Outreach Fire Rescue through DCF, and the Teen Center through 21st Century. They're generally the same. 21st Century, generally focusing more on academics and of course, enrichment. But DCF, the main difference with the OTARI program is that there's a requirement to build a relationship or to forge and nurture a relationship between students and local law enforcement. So it's a hard requirement. Now, full service generally does that anyway. We reach out to the police departments and other kinds of law enforcement, but it is a hard requirement with OTARI. So it's really the only difference.
What specific challenges do you think that you guys have to deal with, like versus your peers? Because obviously, like you're in the high school, you guys are kind of working with like the lower grade students. So what do you guys think?
They're very different. I don't know.
Yeah,
would you guys like to start
Yeah,
first
yeah,
with somebody else, and we could each talk about our challenges?
Well, one, I don't have as much experience working with like K-8. I really have experience working with high schoolers. So just adjusting to make things like more age appropriate or even like the basics, because the after school program that I oversee is K-2. And it's down to the basics of wash your hands, say hello, say thank you. This is the routine that you're following when you get into the classroom, things kind of like that. Social emotional regulation, making better decisions that you don't really have to apply to a high schooler because they're already a little bit more like socially developed. And then just kind of like developing a relationship when you're just jumping into the school and like people don't really know you, or they have like their own understanding of what your job is and like how you can benefit them or the school. And you kind of have to explain that that's not what you do, and this is what I can do, and these are the parameters that are allowed.
Okay, it's kind of like the different kind of set of like boundaries. And I'm sure that was a surprise. Like, wash your hands. I'm like, okay, yeah.
That's totally true. I have some of the same challenges, but I've worked with almost every age group except K through 5. I used to work at a preschool and change diapers. And I've worked with high school before. The previous school that I was at doing full service, I opened the full service program there, was JATS, Joseph A. Taub Middle School. That's, of course, 6 through 8. Those kids are great. But man, do I prefer high school. It is genuinely so much easier. There are still as many, potentially more complications and or challenges, but they're very different. And we all have different capacities in which we're able to deal with certain issues. Like, while I am a very patient person, I really don't have a lot of patience for whining. Like you know the cry whining that like little ones do.
Yeah.
I have the least amount of patience for that. Patience is there, but much less. I have much more patience for high school students sitting there and telling me for 4 hours about their relationship problems. I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Not the it drags on a little bit, and they're not, and they like hearing advice and not taking it. So we get a lot of the same
Classic.
issues. Get a lot of the same issues. But the big challenge that I would say we all have is enmeshing yourself in the school.
Relationship building.
Yes, building those relationships, because when you're first there, you think I'm just another staff member. It doesn't matter. That's not true at all. Like, there are lots of new staff members that you might not know right away, but people kind of have to know you immediately. You have to immediately be the resource, like the biggest resource in the school right away. And all eyes are kind of on you, because everyone is like, what's full service? What is this? Who is that? Who is that? Or maybe you're in a school that's already had it.
Yeah.
Well, is she going to live up to this person? Is he going to live up to this person? We have big shoes to fill. And I even saw some of these these comments from Arlene, who took over at JATS, and it was a little difficult for her at the start, because I had started and I had obviously become very close with the kids and the staff, but now she's not only reached that level, she's doing way better than I was at JATS. So it takes a little bit of time, but yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, when you're kind of like have that focus and you play that role, like within these sites, right? They, like, you know, the people you're servicing or looking around you are looking at you like, okay, like, this is a very important, like, resource. Like, I'm sure they see you as such, right? So I'm sure the culture around that, I will get into that. Like the culture of what that kind of looks like within your sites, because of a big resource. So what a big resource you are to them, right?
We're definitely like a big resource, but in a weird and totally truthful way, we're also like the friend of everyone.
Yeah.
You have to be everyone's friend, and that. You got to be the kid's friend, of course, you know, with boundaries. You got to be the teacher's friend. They're coming to vent to you about things. Admin come to you to talk about things. So you are kind of, in a roundabout way, the non-licensed therapist of the building.
It's kind of, I mean, like, relationship building is so important for it to function, but I think it's also like not just taking on the role of coordinator. Sometimes you're a parent to a kid, you're a therapist,
absolutely.
I'm a hairstylist, like all these other like
100%.
roles that you take on.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a lot of pressure when it comes to that too, because it's like, and I'm sure that's like, you know, also because you're a friend to everybody, you know, not everyone's gonna be friends with everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm sure that's a whole nother.
Oh, we
like,
can get into that.
All right. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you first for your takes on all this.
So I would say one of the biggest challenges in a school that's 1st through 8th grade, obviously a 1st grader is very different than an 8th grader. So there's many different needs you have to meet. If you're in a middle school or high school, you only have a couple of grades. But when you're in a whole elementary school plus middle school, you have to make sure that you're providing programming for not every single month you're going to be able to do something for every single person, because that's impossible.
Yeah.
But making sure that your programming is well balanced and that you're not just serving a specific grade because you like that specific grade and they're the ones that are receptive. That took me a long time to learn, because in the beginning, like, it's just so much easier to do things for like the smaller kids. But then as I started to realize, I'm like, wow, there's an untapped population, the older students.
Yeah.
So this year, I'm really just trying to really balance my work and my workshops and what I do so that everyone is understanding what full service is. So that's definitely a challenge, but I think it's doable. And I also think that just getting a community school to truly embody the community school, because at the end of the day, a lot of people think full service is just like a separate entity, right? Like, they think it's like an office in the school and you're the coordinator of full service, but they don't understand that you are full service. Everybody is full service, not just me. Because you work in a school, you are a full service, and like you have to embody the full service principle so that it can truly be a successful full service community school. Because if only a couple people are like, yeah, full service, and nobody else knows about it, it's just not gonna drive the energy. It's not gonna be fully successful. That's why you see some full service community schools are amazing, and some of them that are kind of just like, you know. So that's really my goal this year, to really keep spreading the mission of what it is, and making sure that, you know, staff members feel like they're a part of this and that they can be a part of it.
Yeah, and that's kind of an aspect I didn't really realize, because you guys are kind of have your own separate, but like like kind of isolated age groups to like
Mhm.
tend to, right? And most of the programs around, at least, I can speak on behalf of like NJCDC. They're like most like that I've interacted with is high school, right? And they have other little programs, but those are like separate.
Mhm.
And so like to have all of like first to eight, I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's
It's a
it's
lot.
tough just to deal with one group by themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure you're gonna have to like you're juggling a bunch of like, okay, what do we do
Right.
for little ones this month, and this month I try to do that,
Yeah.
and then like in the meantime, the older kids are like waiting. All right, what's going on?
Right. They're like, what,
Where's
we
our
put
son?
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
But
It's a
okay, no, but
lot.
I'm sure, yeah, it's stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely stressful.
Something else I wanted to talk about or wanted to ask you guys is about your key collaborators, right? So who are some of your key collaborators in your sites, and how do they help you do what you need to do in your programs?
So first and foremost, it's my coworkers. They're the people that I'm going to talk to about a lot of things first, and vice versa, right? I'll shoot ideas off of them, and vice versa, and we'll really plan. We try to plan things together as much as we can. It doesn't always work out that way, but we do try to collaborate as much as possible, especially uh, much more this past year than in the past. But after that, I would say it's the teachers. Like, of course, the easy answer is administration, right? Nothing happens without administration giving us the go ahead and shooting the ideas off of them. But if admin told me yes 100 times, it doesn't matter if the teachers aren't on board. I can't do it alone. I did try to do it alone my first year at JATS with maybe one or two, three teachers, like at the start in the first couple months, right? And I realized like, okay, this is impossible. It actually is a community school. Like Angely
Yeah.
was saying, it's the school's added a label. It's not just a service in an office. Yeah, you need everyone. So yeah, I mean, in that order, I would say my coworkers and then teachers, absolutely.
Okay.
And of course, we like in saying my coworkers, I can more officially say, and it would look nicer on paper, the other lead agencies, because we are all representatives of our lead agencies.
Mhm.
Myself being NJCDC, Emily being Oasis, and Angely being the Boys and Girls Club. We collaborate with these other agencies as well.
I know like you guys get like donations and stuff from different like places too. So I mean I see the collaborations happening, and then I mean this right now, is within itself like a collaboration. You guys, well, I talked to you before, but I kind of met all three of you because of a full service like meeting that was happening on the first floor of our building,
Yes.
right? So I think that's this is just kind of like another like a little testament to our this
Yeah.
podcast. This is kind of like a testament to that too. So I'm glad again, like thanks for coming by,
Right.
because
Thanks
this
for
is
having
great. Yeah,
us.
of course.
Absolutely. Who are your key collaborators?
Definitely Oasis. I think I'm a little bit spoiled just
Mhm.
because they definitely help a lot with donations, or even trying to fix if there's something that I want to do but I can't do, whether I don't have the funds or the budget doesn't allow and things like that. Sometimes it's stuff that I don't even ask for, but you utilize it like in any other way. And then even just connecting us with like other organizations that can donate or help out. I think the previous coordinator, Jess, shout out to Jess, she
She does listen to
collaborated-
these, by the way, so she'll
Yeah.
Yeah,
she
yeah.
collaborated
Wow, hi,
with
Jess.
I don't know how she made the connection with this church that actually works in the after school program, and they do tutoring on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the after school program,
Oh.
individual, small group,
Yeah.
Speech therapy, all those kinds of things.
Every Tuesday and Thursday.
Every Tuesday and Thursday.
Oh, that's a
yeah. And
good
they're there for an
collaboration.
hour, but most of the time they stay until like the end of program on based on like their own decision. But they donate a lot and they help out a lot. They do make like a really big impact. But just like collaborating with each other, or like even nearby areas, like the ice cream lady cart at the
Mhm.
corner, that like once dismissal comes, all the kids are running to her,
Mhm.
or the music teacher who's doing like a hot dog fundraiser cart outside. Like it's just like once the opportunity like comes up, you kind of want to take advantage. Your gears
Mhm.
just go, you're always networking, like
Yes.
you're always going somewhere and you're like, wow, I know how this would be great for my
Right.
school.
Yeah, I think collaboration is the biggest thing about community schools, because you can't just do it all with just yourself and who's in the
Yeah.
building. At the end of the day, like, you're always trying to bring something new and exciting
Mhm.
to the students, to create memorable experiences and to just provide a service that they don't have. And like in the past year, I was able to build a lot of amazing connections with a lot of great organizations, like Kumac was my last job, but I always say, like, don't ever forget those connections that you have with those past experiences, because they've been able to donate a lot of great things, and they're helping me with my back to school bash. Or like, for example, someone we always use, NJ4S, obviously they're on this podcast before, but they are great collaborators because they come to the schools and do workshops. We have girls helping girls periods. They come and do menstrual workshops for our students. There's always somebody. If I literally was here the other day and I went into that random building here and I saw this kid doing lessons for STEM and I'm like, what's your name? What do you do? Come to my school. Yeah. So it's like any opportunity that you can bring someone in, and it's not just like a transaction. Like collaboration is not like, okay, what can you give me? Yeah. And then that's it. I feel like a lot of people think about it like that, but it's really about getting to know that person, getting to know each other, and then see what our strengths are and help each other out with what, you know, we're best at. And really, one thing that I'm really trying to work on this year especially is not just like the one-off collaborations. Like, okay, you're here one, okay, bye. I'm really trying to like grow the collaboration where the students are constantly seeing these people and they're embedded in the school community. That's hard. That takes years. It takes a lot of work. And I just got there last year. So hopefully we see some movements this year.
All right, most definitely. Most definitely.
This just made me think like, this would be a real hats off to really anyone that we collaborate with. I mean, even each other. The people that work in these jobs, right? We're not doing it for the money, obviously. We'd be somewhere else if we were doing it for the money. I think that's true across all nonprofits. But these are people that have, yes, a certain amount of requirements to do X, Y, and Z for the month. But when people come to you and they want to collaborate on something, that is not even though that's something that we like to do, that is not a hard line on the paper requirement for us. Yeah. We do it because we want to assist someone else, or them, I mean, more often than not, assisting us. They are adding more to their plate consistently. I mean, even like NJ Family Care, right? There's this one guy. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name. Lewis. He's an amazing guy. He'll take calls from families on Saturdays, on days that he doesn't work, because he just wants to get these families their insurance, and this isn't a requirement for him. It's his day off, and he understands, like, I can't see this family. Let me just do it on my day off. So all these people we work with are constantly accepting more and more and more on their plate, and again, asking for nothing in return. So these people really have like a love of service, and it's admirable.
Before we move on to our next topic, I want to circle back a little bit to the culture of the school. We were talking a little bit about how you have to kind of be everyone's friends. I know you guys had like some thoughts on it. You guys are smiling right now. I'm like, all right. Whoever wants to go first, lay it on me, because you look like you got something to say, you know?
There, of course, is a culture and climate at every school, at any job site, whatever. And in a roundabout... I mean, in an unofficial way, but also quite official, we are somewhat responsible for that climate and culture, even though it's admin. Yeah. And that is like, that's even a goal on their annual school plans or ASPs, right? Climate and culture. But we are also just as responsible for it because, again, we are the person everyone goes to. We are out of the classroom. So we have a little bit more time to focus on these relationships, relationship building, relationship healing, sometimes like between two people might not get along, and we think both of them are great people and they just have something stuck in between them, and we want to bridge the gap so we can better serve the kids. Maybe it's between the kids, whatever it is. But we are definitely responsible for the climate and culture as well. Very different, very, very different in each school for many different reasons, right? It's just, schools are really delicate ecosystems. It is if you think of it in a very nice way, it's like a zoo with 1,000 different species of animals in it, right? They all have different personalities, and we have to learn to get along with each other. And more often than not, the coordinator is at the front line, making sure that everyone is playing nice, and that we're playing nice too, because we're human. We get attitudes sometimes. We definitely feel certain ways sometimes. And we have to police ourselves and then worry about everyone else playing nice as well.
I definitely agree. I think one of the hardest parts too is saying no, and then having to not take it personally when they are not receptive to the no. But it's also just like making yourself known, making yourself seen, which can be hard if your personality is not something that's very like out there. I'm a good yapper, but you know, sometimes you might veer off topic, but that's all a part of relationship building. I'm kind of just walking around saying hello to teachers, saying hello to kids. I have this thing where I can tell every student or every parent that comes in, as soon as I see their face, I already know who your kid is. I know you got cousins. I already know who's your sibling. I know all of it. And I try to like regard everyone, or like greet everybody by name. Like every student I see, I try to greet them by name.
You know everybody's name in the whole building.
I do, yeah.
Wow,
Every
wow.
500 kids in your building,
Yeah.
you know their name.
Yep.
Well, you also been there for a little, you know.
Yeah, like my K-2 is pretty stamped
Yeah.
because they're my program. But like
Right.
even in grades 3 to 8, but the ones I interact with the most are the ones that are also in Focus 21.
Yeah.
That's
But
still a
even just
superpower.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a
even just
lot.
going into the classrooms and knowing whether they're in a program or not, but they've
Mhm.
interacted at some point in some way with like a full service program.
I love
Wow,
that.
wow.
You got like flashcards at home with like, all right,
I'm
this
just
kid's
going
name
through
is
during
yeah,
the day.
yeah.
That's
I need to
full
get on that
service right
level.
there.
That's full service. Hey, there you go.
If I don't know all the names, I'm half service.
If
If I
Yeah.
don't, I'll
That's what I'm
ask.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
That's
you
my
go.
Note
goal.
of
My
it.
goal is to memorize all the names. I know a pretty good amount, but I have really bad memory. I have really
Yeah.
bad memory.
Yeah.
I think it
but-
helps a lot when you have an after school program
Yeah.
because you're just interacting more often with the parents.
Right. But climate and culture, I feel like as Adam said, the whole example of there's just so many different personalities. Like this is where students are every day. They're literally coming in with like their luggage of their whole life, walking through the
Mhm.
hallways every day. And the climate and culture, you really, as soon as you walk in the building, even if you don't like, if I don't go to Emely school, like if I don't work there, you can feel it as soon as you walk in. I would say at my school, the climate and culture is definitely improving. That is definitely one of the goals that the principal is really working on for this year, to continue improving the climate and culture in a more positive way. I think that, especially our school, it's in a really tough neighborhood in Paterson, and
Mhm.
everybody comes in and they have their own, ideas, and the parents come in and they have their assumptions of the school, they have their stereotypes, and then maybe one culture is beefing with other culture, the Hispanics and the African Americans. Like there's just so much that goes on, and I don't think climate and culture is as black and white. It's not black and white. Like
Yeah.
some days, it really just depends on what's going on in the school. And maybe some days the climate and the culture is like, yeah, it's buzzing with energy. And sometimes it's a little lower based on what's happening outside in the world,
Mhm.
especially if there's something going on in that neighborhood, the violence that all seeps into the school, it's all connected.
Yeah.
But overall, our school is, actively improving their climate and culture. And we've definitely seen a shift.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's great to hear. So the next thing I want to talk about is how do you guys interact with the parents and student voices and whatnot? Like how is that interaction between you and those you service? How do you facilitate that?
So my parent involvement is definitely not as successful as School 2 or School 4's. They have the younger students, of course, but I think they have a knack for it, right? Because I did used to be at the middle school, and we had some parent involvement. The thing is, it's difficult getting them to show up for things that aren't just the fun things. When it's the fun things, right? I had 140, upwards of 150 people at this potluck we did. Awesome. Everyone's there. They're doing their thing. They're eating, And then the second you're like, hey guys, I have a workshop that's going to help you get your finances in order and increase your financial literacy. They're like, we will definitely be there. And then I get no one, or like
Yeah.
one parent or something. And you know what? That's fair. That's fine. There's something I'm not doing. I think I'm not going to take the responsibility completely away from the parents, because it is up to them if they want to improve something or if they want to work on something. And we're providing these workshops and they're not showing up. That's the most I can do, right? That's the most I can do.
Yeah.
But the way that I interact with parents, because there are a bunch that I do recognize, they come in and for the big stuff, for some of the smaller stuff, whatever it is, I treat them like we're co-parenting. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely, like, this is our child.
Yep. I'm
You
just
know?
as
Yeah.
involved.
And
Yeah.
I will, and I'll, like, while I'm obviously very professional and warm and welcome, I will let them know, like, are you letting, little Johnny spend too much time on his phone at home? Because I'm noticing his grades are slipping, but he started out great until he got this new phone, or until you just allowed him to make a TikTok account or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it very much feels like we're
Mm.
co-parenting
Yeah.
the child, because that's kind of what we are.
And
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
do parents get offended?
No, not at all. Like, there is what I really like some districts might, but here it very much is like, we are both raising the kid. Like, that's how it works. You have to understand, we have them for a third of their day.
Yeah.
So for not even 7, sorry, for 12 to 13 years of their life, 30% of their day is spent with an educator, right, in the school. So I hope they don't get offended if I care about your kid as much as you do.
Yeah.
Because I really would disagree that they get offended at all, because we're watching out for them.
Yeah.
We're not just here clocking in and then I don't know who that kid is. You know, like it's not like that. So I would hope if I sent my kid to school that it's someone that loves them as much as I do, or cares about them as much as I do.
Yeah.
And can voice that.
Yeah,
most definitely.
I think a big piece is also the relationship. It's all really
Yes, it's
revolved around
all
relationship building,
relationships.
because if I have a kid in program who's acting up, but I've never interacted with this parent, and like this is our first interaction, and I'm talking about maybe your child doing something that's not the best decision, it's kind of already going off of. It's starting off on a different point. But if I'm already like friendly, we're established, I'm like, oh, I already know your kid is here. I already called him. Don't worry, he's coming. Listen, today he had some big feelings and he didn't make a good choice. And then they end up opening up to me and they're like, oh yeah, he's like this at home, or I don't really know what to do. And then we can kind of tailor workshops to that, or refer them to services or whatever the next step is.
Yes.
But a lot of it is, sometimes it's just like, it's not meaningless conversation, but it's just like conversations you have like in passing.
Yeah,
how's
like
your day?
planting like a small seed.
Yeah,
you know what I
how
mean?
was
And then-
work? Do you
yeah.
work? You know, like we have something going on. Come join us. Or you can't come Thursdays, but we have something on this day. You know,
Yeah,
like,
for sure. That's the engagement part of it. You know, trying
Yeah.
to like so that the parents know you and know who you are, and you become like a
Oh,
trusted
yeah.
person. You know, so
yeah.
then-
They ask me questions that don't pertain to me, that I don't have the answers to,
Right.
but I'm
Okay.
like, I'm gonna find out who does, but it's not me.
yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, that's kind of the
gist,
that's what happens when you become that person.
Involving parents is really, really difficult, and it's really a skill, because I do think that parents, I feel like a lot of the times, you know, we're in schools and we're saying like, oh, like if they wanted to, you know, they would, but I feel like sometimes parents just don't know how to, they don't know where to start. They just don't understand what it means to be involved in the life of their student and at the school, because they're just not used to that. Maybe they didn't have involved parents. Maybe they're just not used to seeing people show up for people.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. I think ultimately all parents want to see their kids succeed. They want to come to these events. They want to do all these great things, but it's really hard for them. So as a coordinator, I think the main thing that I do is really, you know, just like, you know, at the end of the day, you're coming to the school, but let's relate, you know, we're from the same environment. I'm from here. I literally live a couple minutes from the school.
Yeah.
So just relating to them, like, hey, like, you know, I know the area, like, what did you do this weekend? Or, oh my God, like, oh, I like what you're wearing, is really just building that relationship as like, you know, we're friends. And then little by little, they start to like see, oh wow, like she cares.
Yeah.
They start coming to the events and they start to like they always come, the same people. So it's hard, but the parent engagement at our school has tremendously improved. Like we had over 4,000 parents walk through our doors last year at school at 4. And obviously a lot of those parents, you know, are repeat parents.
Yeah.
A lot of those are repeat parents.
But a core group is good.
A core group is good. The core group is always going to pull up. And you're like, those are my people. You're like, those are my people. And then the core group tells other people.
Tell a friend
and
tell
then
a friend.
everyone's like, oh my God, they get hyped and they get hyped. And a lot of parents, they have no clue that these things are happening in the school.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Yeah. I interacted with a parent the other day and she was like, you guys have monthly parent workshops? And I was like, yeah, we do. I send a flyer once a month. But yes, but I got Facebook now. You can see me on Facebook. I was gonna mention, like, I don't know if you guys like walk around your schools or like sometimes I mean K-8 is intense sometimes I have to leave the building and I go for a walk, but a lot of the parents maybe they don't work full time or every day, or they don't have like a job, but I'm on my way to Taco Bell, I'm walking the streets and I see like 4 or 5 parents, you know, I'm still gonna interact with them just as I would as they would be like in the school, you know. I'm not gonna act like, oh, I don't know you, like I'm outside of work hours right now, you know, like I'm still gonna say hi, how are you, and things like that. But that part is also, I mean, for me it's benefited me, but
of course. I mean, you have to keep up the relationships and stuff, you know what I mean? So you'll see the benefits come later for sure.
I do want to add one thing I do with parents, at least the ones that, you know me by now, or like recognize, or, you know me by name or whatever it is, and vice versa. You have to guilt them. There's a healthy level of guilt that has to happen. Yes. I'm going to explain. So we always talk about community. We talk about how in the West we've lost our community and it's not the same as it is back home. That's true, but it's because the price of community is inconvenience, right? You have to show up even during the times that you don't want to, once in a while, right, to a healthy degree, to build the community, because you're not going to have people that care about you as much as you want to be cared about or taken care of if you are not leaving your house on that cold day to go to the thing, or you're not like, I know I worked a long shift, but like they want me to come to this work, like just go, right? And then there's even data that I show the parents, which is a little subversive, but I like to do it. How much more successful students are when their parents are involved in their school. And this starts in pre-K. Like a parent that is involved from when they're very young is very different than a kid that has no parent involvement in their school when they're older. Those parents that are involved, they tend to know their kids. Their kids feel like they can come to them with their issues. Whereas students that, where their parents aren't involved, they're the ones that sit down. As a parent, you're sitting there and you're at dinner and you're asking, hey, how was school? If your kid says fine, or what did you do? And it's nothing. You got to ask yourself, what am I doing that my kid is not able to open up to me?
Yeah.
Am I not building the relationship I want with them? And I'm not saying coming to the school is going to fix all of your parenting issues. I'm not saying that, but the kid seeing the parent there, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and look, when I was younger, I'd think, oh, that's cringe. My mom's here. But then I realized like there were also kids saying like, oh dude, your mom's always here. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Like there are kids that wish that their parents would show up more. And it means a lot to them. So you have to make them, you got to guilt them into understanding that.
That's a good point. And I think also culturally too, parents, a lot of the parents, they don't understand the culture of being involved in a school. It's like true. They don't understand that. Like there's a lot of Hispanic parents that if the only reason they will go to the school is if something bad happened to the kid. They're like, oh, yo, I'm going to that school because something bad happened.
Oh, now I got to go.
Like, we got to change the narrative. The narrative is not you come to school when something bad happens. The narrative is you come to school just to see your kid flourish and to be there for the kid. So unfortunately, like at our school, like it's known as that school, there's just a lot of discipline issues and there's a lot of problem behavior issues, and the parents are always there when there's a problem. You see the same parent 10 times in a month. But it's just like, can we like reframe that? Like you can be here for other amazing things as well. We just gotta really, let them know like, yo, this is what we got. Sometimes you just gotta shove it in people's faces until they're about to throw up. Like seriously, you gotta shove it.
I think the first back to school night, I had like 4 flyers. I was like, well, we got this and we got that. You can't come. I got another one. It's this one, You're going to register right now. I'm going to see you there.
Give me any excuse. A little bit. Give me any excuse and I got a response for it.
Yeah, there you go. That's what you need sometimes, you know what I mean? Just to give that little push.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask your opinion on some things. With all of these budget cuts and our big, beautiful bill, I'll give some background context here. Very briefly, it is much more complicated than what I'm about to say, but this is the very brief, the quick and dirty. A lot of these school-based programs, these like education programs, were not necessarily cut right away, but instead of having their own person or department in the DOE, in the Department of Education, that money was taken and reduced a little bit, but put into a bucket, and it's about 18 to 20 programs. I forget the actual number. And these programs are all going to get paid out from this bucket, right? So it's no longer a separate fund for this, a separate fund for this. This is the same money, and they're going to have to fight it out. And that kind of is what it's turning into, is these programs are going to have to fight it out. Now, 21st Century, one of the organizations that I work with, and honestly, Full Service, right? We have a 21st Century person too at the Board of Ed. They got saved. They're in the bucket. Saved is also a subjective term because how much are they getting? How much? There's definitely going to be cuts. Like how much less is it? Full Service is one of those that didn't in the initial proposal, right? And we recently heard updates that there was a counter proposal, and it was like a 9 or 10% decrease from what Full Service was allocated last year, but it is still more than $0, which is the original proposal, right? We have to wait for that to get voted on, and we'll see what happens with that. But now my question is, Donald Trump's in office, obviously a very popular Republican, and that's also a subjective term, popular. It seems right now on mainstream media, and this might not be in practice, like the average person, why is it being framed in mainstream media that education is a left-wing or blue issue, right? It is, I feel like we're fed by maybe more like far-right Republicans that, education is bad, or they're teaching them the wrong things, or they're whatever it is. Why do you guys think that's the case? Because I would argue that, if anything, both red and blue need education more than ever now, there are so many predominantly Republican, poor neighborhoods in the Midwest that currently do have full service community school programs, but so many that don't, that need it, that obviously don't understand what it is. Obviously, you can't keep track of all of these programs, but that's the question. Why do you guys think, instead of education being a bipartisan issue, why is it so red versus blue?
I mean, I think it kind of just seems like it's more so what exactly should be taught in like schools, and that's kind of the main focus. And after school programs like yours, like full service or like Compete for Life at at John F. Kennedy, they have programs that kind of build like life skills and whatnot that doesn't really have to do with that kind of side of things, exactly like the curriculum, what's being taught and whatnot. But I feel like that's kind of what's the focus is, you know what I mean, when it comes to, speaking about education and politics and whatnot. That's kind of how I'm seeing it, and why that's kind of like a hot button issue, when it comes to just like when the kind of the discourse with all that.
I was gonna say, like, it's hard to not ignore how everything is intersected, when it comes to poverty, or when it comes to like race, or when it comes to gender, or when it even comes to where you live, and like how the kids are populated into the schools, how the school is funded, property taxes, and what's the funding formula. All of that kind of falls into it. But I feel like maybe a lot of the way that it's phrased is like, oh, well, we're always giving money and you guys want more money. But like, are we seeing the value? And it's like, we're always trying to just move the needle, but we're already starting behind the start line, and we're just trying to get to where maybe other areas that can contribute a little bit more into their school fund is starting off a little bit farther ahead than what other areas can. And that might just be because of just property tax, or maybe there's more rental properties, or people just aren't in a position where they can live above the poverty line, or can transition out of the poverty line either.
That's a really good point. I mean, I can imagine someone being in a really wealthy neighborhood with high property tax, not understanding how the schools are funded, thinking, why would I want this poor neighborhood to have more than what my kids have? Right. And that's not what it is. We don't even have close to what that is. I mean, I can tell you, I did an accelerated algebra course in high school at Wayne Valley, and that's just up the hill from Paterson. It is not like, it is maybe not even a full mile from the base of the mountain, right, of Preakness Ave to Wayne Valley. They had a bowling team and a motocross team and a BMX team, and they had their own tennis courts, and like, it is insane. Yeah, it's insane what they have. And Wayne is sure a wealthier town, but it's not like an elite billionaire town by any means. But these kids have so much more access to everything, right? And we are trying to give our kids a portion of it. And you were mentioning like what is being taught in schools. That's my question though. Like, if you're not a fan of one specific thing being taught in schools, do we just get rid of schools? Do we defund the schools? Right. My kid is learning one thing I'm not a fan of. Do we defund the schools? You already have the option to keep your kid out of certain classes. I know that. I have family members who have wanted their kids out of certain classes, and it's a quick form. The school districts have these forms, and you don't have to worry about it. Like, that concession has been made, but we're still at the point of they're overfunded. And I don't know where the overfunding is. If you find any of that overfunding, you let me know.
Did a little research on it. Like, I think in undergrad, I did a study, and a lot of the money isn't used, or it's like, kind of like how our rollover money just gets put back in. Yes. A lot of the money isn't used, and it's like, where does it go, or who's using it? But I also think it's like, Paterson is just so densely populated. We have such a significantly higher population of students to serve than a community like Wayne, where they have like maybe 7,000 to 8,000 kids and like 13 schools, and we have like 50 and 27,000 kids. And then we can't contribute into it because we're densely populated and we don't have enough like capita to contribute to the property tax.
That's a good point. Part of it too, like, and I'm now, take what I say with a grain of salt. We are not paying the teachers enough. People said this forever. There is this, in my opinion, a horrible image of the teacher, the martyr, right? The teacher is the martyr. They are historically, since the beginning of time, underpaid, and they buy classroom supplies with their money out of the goodness of their own hearts, and this and that. And that is cool. But it seems like we're building a system on where we are taking advantage of people with kind hearts and not putting money where it needs to go, because you can't tell me we don't have the money, right? We're trillions of dollars in debt, not because we're really borrowing it from anyone. It's because we're just creating it out of thin air, right? We can create a little bit more for the teachers. And that's the thing. When teachers complain about simple things like my insurance is worse this year, or I'm not getting support from whatever it is, any complaint they have, they're valid complaints. Why are the teachers seen as like not allowed to complain about their jobs? You know,
maybe it's like when you're doing something for the greater good, you shouldn't want to profit off of it, because it's kind of like you should already be fulfilled from having the compassion and empathy and doing the work. That's enough. You're getting paid just enough to get by, but you can make millions at the expense of the people. And it's kind of like, well, that's kind of like the relationship that it should have.
That's exactly,
or that it's framed as.
That's exactly what it is. It's framed that way. And it's like, that's cool and all. Why don't you then go to college and teach the kids, right? Because if every teacher really took that to heart and really was offended enough by that to go and pursue something where you can make money, we'd have no teachers, right? We'd have no teachers. And at the end of the day, good vibes don't pay the bills.
Nope.
Like, you know, as a teacher, yes, you do have a good heart. Yes, you do have this. You still deserve equal pay as
you deserve to make a living
as much as the next person. And it's not even, you know, there's always this argument of, well, what do you mean? Do you think they should be paid as much as a doctor? That's not even my business. But the fact that we're prioritizing,
a babysitter gets paid more.
Yeah. The fact that we're prioritizing one profession over another, like, we're not talking about someone who is street dancing like in a club. Like that, this is, if you think about any society, if you just think of the basic building blocks and the requirements of a society, education is in there just as much as medicine is.
Yeah.
How do you get to the medicine position without the education? You know? And just really quickly, I'll add in like the whole Chris Christie anti-teacher thing. I was in high school at that time. Our Italian teacher was crying in the hallway. Two of our art teachers that had to be laid up were crying in the hallway when they found out. So it was right about to finish high school when that was happening. And I was seeing who this man really was, right? And it was just so weird, because I thought, would you have even been governor if
you didn't get the education?
Couldn't get an education to get there?
Yeah.
Why do you hate these people so much? You know, I didn't understand it. But
I think that's where the intersectionality
it's the priorities, man. They just prioritize. Obviously, you're gonna place more money on things that you value more. It doesn't matter if it's for the people or not. Like they value to put money in other things that they think will benefit society more. Unfortunately, obviously, we don't agree with that here, but they rather put those funds for other things like military and other things that they want to fund. And unfortunately, it just impacts our students and our children and all the people that, you know, we're trying to impact, because they value and prioritize other things.
Society here is just very individualistic, and it's kind of like profiting from my own gain. Whereas like, well, we're Dominican, we come from DR. My neighbor, I know my neighbor's neighbor. I'm helping them. Like, you're just like building camaraderie with each other, and you don't really have that here.
This was in the 1950s. You guys might remember. We weren't alive then.
Yeah, I was say,
do I remember?
Right. Yeah, I'm like
my dad.
No,
he was like a year old.
Yeah, right. But you see that like that imagery in TV shows and media, whatever, of like, it's like a wife in like this like plaid skirt or something at home, and she's got a martini ready for her husband or whatever. That's not how it really was. Like, America looked like that out of response for what happened in World War II. We were so shaken by World War II that we overcorrected into pretending everything was fine. And of course, you know, there's the image of like, the wife in the plaid skirt. There was a lot of abuse going on. There was a lot of economic disparity going on, and fathers would come home and drink and get violent. And not all of them, but this was prevalent enough that we know about it, and we weren't even alive in that time. And we didn't learn about this in history class either. You learn about this through pop culture. You learn about this doing your own research. But the reason I'm bringing this up is that is just about the time where everyone became so insular, like in their family. That is when the community didn't exist anymore, right? The community exists. You're friendly with your neighbors. You have a block party once a year or something. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we are. Like, that's you were bringing up something about about individualism. That's where we are. We're so individualistic that we can't possibly see somebody else benefiting with our tax dollars unless we are
Right.
directly benefiting
Yeah.
from it.
Before we end off today's podcast, I want to ask you guys two things, right? So first, I want to ask you guys, where do you see your program within in the future, however, like, 5 years or however long you might think, and what advice would you give to someone who's trying to find like the value within the full service community schools program?
So I see school four's full service program really continuing to build out relationships with not only families and students, but with the outside community. I really see full service in our school really being looked at as a community hub instead of just a random program in the school. Like, I want people to know that this is the place that they can come to if, they need to receive their monthly groceries, if they need any products, if they just, need a safe place to be, if they want to just excel as a human being. Like, I really want our school to be that safe haven for the school and the community. I really think that could happen. I just think everyone has to put intentional work behind it and really embody the community school vision. I would just say to look around their community, look around at where we are, look around Paterson, and just see that there are many students that haven't tapped into their full potential, haven't tapped into the possibilities of who they are meant to be, or they don't know what they don't know. At the end of the day, our students, they all want to excel. They just don't know how to get there. They don't have the resources and supports that they need to get there. And I think that full service is that program that really, provides students with that helping hand. Like, we're not taking them, we're not helping, we're not like lifting them there, but we're planting those seeds through everything that we do so that they can see their potential, so that they can see that they can do anything that they can set their minds up, they can set their minds up to, whether that's just a conversation with me or another staff member, or whether that's an impactful program that they went to. I think that the importance is that these programs are truly building community and seeing people for who they are, and they're just helping kids see their lights. I think that's the beauty of it.
Be seen in general.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's a really, I think, a simple way to see this. I'm going to give you an example here. Mindful schools. Okay.
Yeah.
This is something that kind of disappeared, changed, whatever, but this new wave of mindfulness being brought into education, into social emotional learning, right? Very important, 100% necessary. But if I were telling someone who never heard of it before, okay, we're bringing mindfulness into schools, the next question is, what is that? You explain it. And then the next question is, what does that do? There's another set of questions after what is it? Yeah. There's a deeper level of understanding needed to understand why money should go there. With full service, okay, what is it? Fair game. We provide food, healthcare, enrichment, education, tutor. You provide all these very simple words that do not need to be explained. You can't argue with it. That is like my suggestion, or that's how I see full service in general. Like, it's just a very simple thing to understand, because if you ask anyone, regardless of their political alignment, regardless of their race, religion, whatever, do you think students should have access to healthcare? Do you think students should have access to food and their family? Like, these are just easy yeses. Yeah. So when you frame it that way, it's a lot easier. Whereas with mindfulness or SEL, again, very important, but they're a little esoteric. Like, there needs to be more definitions that define the original definition. Like, you have to dig a little deeper to understand what it is. But this isn't something like that. Full service has been growing. And again, because of how simple it is, it's very easy to understand that money needs to go there. And the easiest, like the funniest example I can give you, the invention of electricity. Okay. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can look this up right now. There were newspapers and ads and propaganda and because there's always two sides to everything. You think, of course, electricity was accepted right away. It gave everyone the ability to do X, Y, Z. No, it wasn't. Yeah. There was a large, almost half of the population thinking that electricity is going to kill us or end our lives or destroy our society. And there's this one specific like cartoon on a newspaper of this man wrapped up like a spider web or like in a spider's cocoon in between electrical lines. Like, I'll never forget when I saw that, because you think like, well, surely this is such an easy thing to accept. Not everything is accepted that easily. but again, electricity, it needs another explanation. If someone's never heard of it, you still got to explain what it is so people can be against it. But if you can get on TV or in front of anyone and say, I don't think kids should have healthcare and food and this and that, impossible. Like I dare you. I dare you to do that in front of anyone and then see that they think positively after. But where do I see the program? I think it's going to be booming. I think it's struggling right now. Electricity struggled for a while, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And now we've got electric cars now, eventually electric rockets probably.
If electricity can make a comeback, what I'm saying? There you go.
That's what I'm saying. If it was struggling a little bit, but I think it's going to be hopefully 5 to 10 times where it is now.
Yeah.
I know 5 years isn't a long time, but who knows? With every presidency, the country changes wildly, which shouldn't happen, by the way. But that's a conversation for another day. But the climate and culture of the country is changing wildly, and in 5 years, that's another presidency.
Yeah.
So we could bounce back, a lot better than where we are right now.
Yeah, for sure.
It just depends, like in context of what funding is given to us or not, or how much, if it's taken away, or if like right now it's a little up in the air, but
I'm
we're still trying
positive.
to have some self-preservation skills. Yeah, I'm pretty positive as well. But
it's gonna happen.
It's the fact that it's even in jeopardy, like to begin with.
And I will tell you,
like, are you saying kids don't deserve help?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can you say this on the record, please? There is definitely maybe not an expectation, but there's going to be a question too, like if these other full service districts, because I will tell everyone that Paterson, we're very lucky. We have an extremely successful director of full service, Jenna Goodrow, who has a 100% track record of getting every grant that she's applied for. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Wow.
And we're treated.
She's that good.
Yeah, we're treated a little bit like celebrities and hated on a little bit
like celebrities
at the national conferences, the community schools conferences. We're bullied a little bit. Yeah. What I was trying to say is there might be an expectation for some of these districts to maybe take on the role of full service and see, okay, maybe not all the money is going to be grant money. We don't know what that's going to look like. But now I'm not saying the school districts are overflowing with money, but I'm saying that maybe any sensible district, if they have the money, this would be a great investment, right? If they were to lose funding, I genuinely think that Paterson has done well enough, and Jenna has kept everyone afloat and ran the program so well that we're not going to maybe face that issue. But I would hope that, not only our district, but I'm really talking about those districts like the people that we met at the conference, some of their districts only have one full service community school, right? That's not a huge financial burden on the district. You can afford keeping that program at the one school and providing healthcare to the surrounding schools or communities or whatever. You can afford the one. So I hope they don't get rid of it just because they're losing out on what little bit of grant money that they had before that. But I know times are tough right now, but I genuinely think we're going to be much bigger.
Yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I hope so too.
So I went to school here. I went to high school here, and there wasn't as many resources at the high school because it wasn't a community school at that point. Yeah. But it, like, even just access to books, even just teachers that want to relate, or even just admin that can understand that, like you said, the students are there for like 30% of their day, but it's like what we interact with is only 30% of our day. The rest of our day at home or in whatever, like mental health or in our family or things like that, also contribute to that. And I think that's what full service kind of like embodies, the holistic approach towards like supporting the student and the family and like the whole child. So I think it's standing even alone. I mean, if those kinds of services can still exist without maybe the full need of like a coordinator, but just kind of like because of all like the collaborations that you have with community partners, that they're all just contributing to it, that it stands and it stands on by itself.
And for self-preservation reasons, we're not saying we don't need the coordinators.
Hold on a second. Stop the tape.
Still needs a coordinator.
Maybe long after we decide to go.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like to the point where full service isn't like a program. Full service is a school concept.
Right. Every school could be a community school.
Yeah.
If you
that is the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what I was trying. Don't fire me.
Yeah, that's for the record.
Our supervisors are like,
for the record.
Right.
But so that it's not just education is a right, but it's also like, well, education and the whole child
But
and the whole family.
you try to pawn our job and our responsibility to anyone else in the school, I dare you.
They're gonna
yeah.
struggle.
That is like not, you might be able to divvy it up, but no, like, I'm sorry, there are just such specific things that like admin comes to me for.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have an answer right now, but I will get you one and consider that. That's usually my thing. Like, I'll deal with it and then I'll go learn how I can deal with this specific situation that I've never dealt with before.
Yeah.
Whereas before, maybe without an Adam or an Emily or an Angely in the building, it's like, we don't know, so we're going to avoid it. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say though, you know, despite, you know, kind of the scary times, you guys are definitely doing great, impactful work. And even though like I could be better, you guys are still doing a great job. So, but yeah, just wanted to give you your flowers there before we ended it off here.
Would have been really nice if you brought actual flowers.
You know, and we do. Just waiting for you downstairs. I had the whole team come by.
It's a
Yeah.
surprise.
Oh, was that were those the 500 lilies downstairs?
Yeah,
It smells
but
beautiful
no,
down
yeah,
there.
I told you it was like for the smell, you know, to make it smell nice.
okay.
I'm actually
Okay.
allergic to lilies.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
really?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Oh.
lilies. We'll get roses.
Well,
Roses.
yeah. Well, you
Now
know,
food.
I'll put you in a hazmat suit on your way out, so that you're okay. But yeah, but thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate you guys, and hopefully we can have you here again.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Danny. Appreciate
having
it.
us.
Yeah, of course.